mentor, a leader that I have known for a minute, over 10 years it has been. And what I can tell you about this amazing leader, he leads from his heart. He is a father, a papa, a dynamic husband, and just a leader from the front. Oftentimes we hear from leaders who lead, but they lead from the back. Mr. Jason L. Scott, or as many have known him as the Millionaire Mentor, he leads with his heart from the front. He is a retired Army paratrooper, so he definitely understands about serving. So, without further ado, I'm gonna get out of the way because I know Mr. Jason L. Scott, the first, has some amazing nuggets to help elevate and take us all to the next level that we desire to be in our personal and business lives. So, without further ado, Mr. Jason L. Scott, the first, are you on the line, sir?
Yes, young lady, I'm absolutely lying. Can you hear me?
I can hear and see you loud and clear, sir. Take it away.
Excellent, excellent. Listen, I'm always elated to have you introduce me. Yes, you have such a level of sincerity about yourself, leadership about yourself. You've been in the industry of teaching for a lot of years. So you have a discernment for people. Because I tell people, at the levels that you've been educating people, I think you started off like in the what was that pre-K in the kindergarten when you're starting off. Right? And I say that you doing it at that level, you are introducing not just children to the world of how to engage, how to be, connect in society, but you're also teaching parents. You're teaching parents at the same time. So you're not just teaching the kids, you're teaching the parents how to interact with their kids, how to interact amongst other parents, how to be better parents, how to look over and look after, all the things. So you're basically teaching them what you learned. So you're a natural leader in that aspect. So I applaud you for all that you do as well, young lady. So thank you so much for hosting tonight's Vision Mastery call, guys. And this call we do each and every Sunday night. And these Vision Mastery calls are important because vision is what you envision. And when you get to a point in your life where you know that you have a bigger vision for your life and you don't really know how to get there, or you may have a vision for your life, you know how to get there, and you want to be able to inspire other people to get there. Just something inside you is bursting from the seams, and you just want to just be able to share it. Whatever it is, guys, you have to have a vision of that. And as many of us right now with entrepreneurs, and as you're in an entrepreneurial space, learning to be able to grasp onto a vision, hold a vision ahead of you, and go forward and keep that vision, in your mind's eye, even when your eyes are closed, no matter what's going on around you, learning to go through the motions, write that down with the proper emotions, because a lot of times your vision can be distorted. All right, you may have vision, but your sight, what you see with your mind's eye, how you not just your mind, how you see with your natural eyes, your sight can distort your vision. So when you say I have a vision of greatness, a vision of success, so much more I want for myself, so much more I want for my family, but all of a sudden you start looking around at things that's happening around you, whether they're relationships, whether that's finances, whether that's the home, something else around you can distract you from what your real vision is. And if you know you want more out of your life, if you know you just have this capacity inside of you, but your vision can be blurred, getting on these vision mastery calls that's designed to help you learn to master vision, to put you in a better space of how you see yourself and how you see things and all these things that are important. But I want to make sure that I'm honest and real with you guys so you guys can understand this. A lot of times our vision is it can be distracted and distorted by our sight, but our sight allows us is connected to our identity. And I want to make sure that tonight, as I have a conversation about that identity, some people hear identity and they hear the word and they don't always understand, but identity is like it's multifaceted, right? And it encompasses a variety and of aspects of who we are as an individual. And because we are in this space, and you can say what's your identity, and people go, they hear the word, but they don't really understand the depths of what it is. But there's core components of identity. Because if you talk about vision, but yet something about your identity and how you hold your personal beliefs and your values and your experiences, all these things can limit your ability to expand your vision past what you see. I always say you got to learn to stretch your imagination, write that down, past your situation. So learning to stretch your imagination your vision, what you see in your mind's eye, all those things pass your current situation, your life situation, your challenges, your finances, your relationships, all these things can distort, it can slow down, it can stop you in your capacity of going and believing and moving towards that which you believe in. So your personal beliefs, when it comes to components, because right then there's like components of identity, right? And one of the components, let me give you three, like personal beliefs, values, experiences. Those are just some of the core components of identity. And as I'm having this conversation with you tonight, I want you to think about these things because our business is not just of self, our business is of people. And because our business is of people, when it comes to vision mastery and learning to master vision and learning to master our own vision and helping other people lock on to their vision. And I tell people, even in leadership, there's vision, right? And everybody has a different vision and version of leadership. And our job and what we do, which is why you have to learn to master the ability to be able to have this conversation about vision and identity and things like that with self so you can have with other people. To understand, people have different visions and version of leadership. Your job to take what your vision and version of leadership is, attach it to what somebody else's that you're looking to coach or to guide or to mentor to what their vision and version of leadership. And through coaching and mentorship and guidance and everything else, you're able to help bring up their levels of what their vision and version of leadership closer to your own. Now, it don't stop them from maybe having some things, their own experiences. The values and things like that can start to be can start to be shaped in the standards of how they see things based off of behavior. But the experiences that we all have can help. It may limit us or may get in the way of you attaching yourself to the right person. That's why we say when you're looking to grow yourself, find the right coaches and the right mentors. And many people in the space right now, guys, where they're thinking mentorship is just being along for the ride. And mentorship is not just being along for the ride, but it's because someone is doing a thing, you just want to do the thing with the person just because. Now I get it; those things are they're useful in our process, but don't just go along for the ride. When people have standards, when you're looking to be able to be at another level of growth, you yourself got to pay attention to somebody else's identity, what their personal beliefs are, what their values are, what their principles and standards are. And you have to be willing to say to yourself, is my value, my standards that I see for myself, is this person that I'm aligning myself with? Is this person, is that the person that I want to also align myself with? See, there's many businesses that people can do. Don't get it twisted, man. People, they'll try to confuse you with this don't work, that don't work, this is working. We all do it. Everybody do it. We all in our attempt to sway ideas and get people to believe in what we're doing and versus what somebody else is doing. We all get in this place we want to do that the blame game and let me tell you why you don't want to go with that company, why you want to go with this person, why you want to go with all these other things. But when you understand the core components of your own identity, your personal beliefs, and then the identity and the personal beliefs of someone else, not just by the words they speak, but by the actions that they take. And when you start to see a pattern. See, success has a pattern and failure has a pattern. And there's a pattern in people who have success and a pattern in people who fail. There's a pattern in the how you follow people. There's a pattern in how you lead. There's a pattern that happens. And you got to ask yourself with your own personal beliefs and convictions and the ideas that you hold to be true that shape the whole understanding that you have of the world. They influence your decisions and your actions and everything else. Beliefs can come from religion. It can come from politics. It can come from personal ethics and values, all these different things. But that's just one of the core components of identity. So we're talking about identity, the things that's holding us back, the things that give us the ability to move forward, all the things that people again they follow amongst people and not understanding their own is it about my identity and my personal beliefs and my convictions that I'm following along, I'm going along for the ride, or is it that I understand that the value that I have for myself, for my life, the principles and the standards that guide my behavior? So because values and but for the values that you have are the principles and standards that guide your behavior. They represent what's important to us. So they represent what's important to you. And a lot of those things that must and should be important is honesty and integrity and kindness and success and values that often drive motivations and priorities and things like that in life. And I get it. Everything about that, even when it comes to values, a lot of times it's like what people do when it comes to the Bible. And this is not a church thing. It's just what people do. When people want something to be true and they want to try to back it with something else, and many times they'll say, well, the Bible says this, or they'll give some quote, something they seen on Facebook or Instagram, and they become this philosopher because they seen something else and they let me tell you what the Bible says. Let me tell you what this says. But then when it comes to something else they want, because we talk about honesty, we talk about integrity, but what does honesty mean? Does honesty mean that when people say, well, I like to keep it real, how real do we really keep it? We say we want to be honest, but in honesty, yeah, we're looking to be honest, but in honesty, I'm not gonna be honest and tell you my social. I'm gonna give you things that I need to give, but there's a piece of all of us that we hide from the world, a piece of who we are. So when it comes to honesty, you gotta understand that the piece of who you hide, there still has to be levels of principles and standards that you have that guide the behavior. So if you're a person honest when nobody's looking, you're honest when they're looking. If you have a level of integrity, and think about integrity, integrity is it's like when people, for instance, I'm a big sci-fi thing, right? I love sci-fi. I love comics and sci-fi and things like that. So I think about a lot of times I make references about Star Trek and stuff like that, right? Because I watch a lot of science fiction movies and action things, right? So they'll talk about the hull integrity. If something is going on when there's been a bombardment of phasers and lasers and photons and a bunch that hitting the craft, they'll start talking about the integrity. And if integrity is weak, it allows the damage to become greater. It allows to things to become annihilated. So we got to understand that in our own integrity, how integrous are we in this space? And again, it's like the Bible. Some people say, "Well, I'm a person of integrity," but we all behind the scenes, we got things that we don't always want to talk. Some things you stand in front of the room, a level of integrity behind the scenes. You don't have the same level of integrity. From room to room, you have different levels of integrity. From group to group, you may talk one way about this, and when you with another group talk, but is that really integrity? So when it comes to identity, the things that's going to slow you down or hold you back or move you forward, because in our in our next phase of business, in life, in growth, we want to be the very best. We want to be able to attract the very best. And what you think about, you bring about. What you ask for, you shall receive. And because of these things, you got to ask yourself, are you putting out? Is this an echo, a vibration that starts to go out and come back? So what you put out, what you speak comes back. That's why they say the law of attraction. What you put out, what you speak, please make sure the mic's muted. What you speak into the universe comes back to you. That's all of that power of life and death is in the tongue. They say all these different things. That means what you think about, you bring about. What you ask for, you shall receive. So when you are performing a certain thing, because the law of attraction is superseded by the law of vibration. And if it's superseded by the law of vibration, that means it comes before attraction. That means what you attract is not just what you're thinking, but what you're feeling about what you're thinking. So are you feeling, when you're saying I'm honest, are you feeling the truth about that? When you're saying you have a level of integrity, are we feeling the truth about that? Again, we all wrestle with these things. Everybody wrestles with it. Some people, they'll talk beyond it, they'll talk behind it. Some people do their very best to not to be who they are. We all are. We all are a work in process and a work in progress. But you got to accept in your own values. Do they hold strong and true for honesty, integrity, and kindness, success? Even our experiences. Again, we're talking about the core components of identity, because in order for you to have identity, you got to identify the things that's going on inside your own head. If you want to strengthen your identity, have another way, your personal beliefs and convictions, understand that identity is, like I said, the multifaceted concept that encompasses a variety of aspects of who we are as individuals. So when you understand the core components of identity, and then we understand the types of identity, write this down. There's like personal identity, there's social identity, there's cultural identity. And if we know that those are types of identity, and you understand your personal identity refers to how we as a person, how we as a people, really as you as a person, how you perceive yourself as a unique individual. We all like to say, I'm unique, I'm different. Or like we say, there's a rap song, I'm different, so don't compare me to another, because they can't hang. Words, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sometimes I just got to go there. All right. Sometimes I can't help myself. I just got to go there. I'm saying I'm different, so don't compare me to another, because they can't hang. Word to the mother. It's your personal identity that we perceive as that I'm unique, I'm different, so don't compare me to another. It includes aspects of our personality. I'm a person where I understand the different personality styles and groups and things like that. A lot of times I'm looking at my children and my grandchildren, how they interact, and I see how they show up. And I'm like, this personality, this one has a personality like this. And I recognize there's different personalities in ourselves and different personalities in the people that we surround ourselves with, and even in our household. For instance, when it comes to personal identity, and we say that we're unique individuals, but a lot of times there's aspects of identity that seems like several people have several things about them. Sometimes people can even go, some people they'll claim their whole identity when it comes to personal identity, like in their, if they're into astrology, their entire identity is based off of what they read in astrology. And you'll know because I'm an Aries, and Aries, because I am an Aries, trust me, right? So I'm an Aries, and Aries do it like this. And the funny thing is, when you start talking about that, other Aries go, I'm like that too. Other people, but also in what you're talking about, there's other people in other things. They think about the thing the same way. But when somebody they say this is what an Aries is, and that's your personal identity that you believe in, your mindset, you're gonna start that. You read it so many things about it, you start to everything about, well, I'm my personality, because as an Aries, I'm mad and I'm this right here and I'm ambitious, and so because it says it on paper in your mindset, you want to take it on. So you got to ask yourself, in your uniqueness, is it your uniqueness through your real experiences that you really have, and you seeing, you can identify all the things you've been through, or are you allowing your identity to be shaped by something you read, or somebody told you you were Aries, or you were Leo, or you this right, and you said that's what it is? Or your personal identity can be shaped from, like I said, the environment and the people that surround you. And as we start to grow, and as we start to pay attention to these traits and our preferences and our personal history and our self-awareness and self-concepts of awareness, all these things are important. That's why I'm saying because I'm not going to talk to you as though you're children, as though I gotta talk my baba, and you want baba and wah wah. We're grown and we're adults, but sometimes we have to have another level of thinking and how we be introduced to ways of how to think. Because again, our organization and how we're talking amongst ourselves and what we're looking to bring to the table, this next level of growth inside of the companies we represent and who we are, it's about leadership. And that leadership, it revolves around you, even when it just not come for businesses about self. And when it comes to self, as identifying and paying attention and learning that your personal identity refers, it refers back to your perception of self. Perception believed is truth. It doesn't mean that objectively is truth. It just means that it's your truth and my truth. So if your personal identity is about self-awareness and self-concept, and you let your personal identity, every time someone talks to you about growth, but let me tell you, I don't like nobody correct me. I don't want to have no level of accountability. You got to ask yourself all these things that has been in your history that has gotten you to where you are. How have they served you in this moment? Your social identity, it relates to how we identify within groups, how you identify in a social. This part right here is really important. Because again, when I'm talking about, I can talk about a lot of things when it comes to vision, but I got to get you to understand I have a 12-month coaching program, what I coach and I work with people on. And in that academy, when I'm working with people, the first things I start talking about is discovery, and identity is the first thing. Before I go into anything else, if people don't understand who they are and how they see themselves, they don't see nothing else makes sense. No matter what you talk about and train about until you come to a aha moment. Until when someone says something to you, instead of you trying to challenge it without paying attention, I always tell people, just go, hmm, like not but let me calm my thoughts, my energy, my perception of something, and let me hear what they're saying, and let me what we like to say, try that on for size. Let me try if a coach and a mentor, mentorship is wisdom without waiting. If a coach and a mentor gives, let me try that on for size. Because inside of social groups, if you understand that where I come from the projects, right? The Bronx, New York. And I've traveled many projects through the Bronx and projects throughout Manhattan and Harlem and projects throughout Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying, and Queens and places when I was growing up, right? And and no matter how all that what we traveled through, our social group in that process, social group, there was like a social group in each block. It was like buildings, 20, 21 stories. It means one, two, three, four, like five buildings on the block that I live in Webster Projects. It was one in the corner. That's one I lived on. The one behind that one in the middle, the one on the back corner of that block, and one in the black corner. In that one city block, and there's thousands of families and one central little park in the middle of all those things where people can come in and congregate. And the funniest thing is, in that social group, one block over was Butler houses, and those houses was the same thing, same building over here, building back here, and everybody in that social structure was different than the social structure. Now we would know people. Some people would know people from the next block, but the funny thing is, sometimes if this block had a challenge, you'd be fighting against people over here because it's like you're trained in this. Oh, you could be in this block and 2 blocks away. Dead the people on this block and this block commute together to fight with people to because in our mindset and there was no game, nothing. It was just the life of the social groups. So the same thing, like such as family, friends, professional networks, communities, all of this, it all influences how we see ourselves in relation to one another. And it can affect our sense of belonging. This is why it's important. Our self-esteem. So your social identity can have you like honestly, I remember my part of my social identity was I remember like going I went to Delaware one time when I was a kid, right? I was young, not a kid, but I used to buy things in the wholesale, sell at retail on the streets of New York when I was 13, 14, 15. I remember going to Delaware with some of my friends. Uh, and I think I was maybe about 15 or 16. And I remember like, I'm going to Delaware and somebody said to me, there was passion, right? And they was like, what's up? So where I'm from, even though I wasn't like about that life, that drama, you have to be on edge and be ready for stuff. You never, where I grew up at, you never know what's going to happen. So when somebody said, "What's up?" in my mindset, based off of my social group and how they said something like, "What's up? What's up?" Now I'm acting like I'm this gangster. I'm tough. Like people trying to hold me back. No, no, no. I'm like, "What's up? What's up?" And people are like, "No, no, I'm just trying to say hi." And people are like, "No, yo, he from New York." Because back then it used to mean the thing to be from there, right? Back then we thought that meant something. Right nowadays, everybody from someplace means something somewhere. But back then, when you say you're a New Yorker, everybody be like, "Oh my God, they from New York." So you walk around, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You had this thing. Don't get me wrong. I ain't gonna front. We still get it popping like that now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Am I going too much? Huh? Huh? Am I going too much? To see, sometimes, like I was talking to Rebecca earlier, so sometimes you can review, sometimes you can relive a thing, right? Sometimes you have a conversation, you review it, and it just be conversation. I went back there for a minute. I relived that for a moment there, and I was back in that moment, so I apologize. But the thing is, for me, I remember when they was like just saying what's up, and I'm my social identity had me like ready and on edge and ready to fight. When somebody was just saying what's up, hey, how you doing? So the same thing here, and what we're doing as we're growing, as we're learning to navigate this whole thing, and we're working together as a leadership organization and group of people. If your personal identity, your self-awareness means, and your social identity, when it comes to how your personal identity fits into the social identity, and based on how you used to represent inside of groups and networks, now over here you're like, well, normally I'm normally quiet. I don't like to talk because over here. But we're in a place right now where we're about leadership. And if you're representing yourself as a leader and you're about to go to this next level of growth and development, you have to be what leaders do. You have to take lead. We can't sit to the sidelines and let our identity of, well, let me tell you what normally happened. I just told you that nonsense was nonsense. I could have got hurt out there jumping in that space. Let me tell you what you mean. What's up? What are you talking about? Calm just because my social identity based off of networks and things that I was involved in. So now, and my self-esteem, and self-esteem is esteem of self. So people go, well, I'm funny because I got low self-esteem. Well, I heard Cat Williams say that before. He was like, that's esteem of self. You control that esteem. That's somebody else controlling it. We like to try to say that somebody else. So let me tell you how I am but when you think about it, we control it based off of its esteem of self. So in your social identity, in your this next leadership path, are you allowing yourself to pay attention to how you show up? That's why this lesson is about this. How are you showing up in the chat? How are you showing up in the group? Are you quiet? You say, yeah, I know. Well, I'm an introvert. Yes, I know. Me too. People go, well, you don't seem like an introvert. Well, because I can't be. I can't tell you how I'm a lead in this space, but I let my introversion. The introversion mean it don't mean I can't talk. I'd rather be like by myself or in a small group and not doing a whole lot of stuff and go out there and give all my energy and hey, guys, then I got to get back and recharge away from because I have a social media that I feel that I can be exhausted. I'm around everybody, and once I get going, I'm like, man, I got to recharge. So I know, but I can't go. Well, no. I can't show up because I don't want nobody to think, wait until after I get to this level and then I'm going to. No, I'm needing people on this call, needing people right now, everywhere, to allow your thought process to understand that where you fit in this group, where you fit in this organization, where your self-esteem might have been before, it has to be in a space where you reinvent yourself. I've been saying this for years. This is a time that you can reinvent yourself. I don't care what has happened before, what happened in the past. There's a lot of stuff that's happening. People see people join the company doing a bunch of stuff, and it throws people off because they don't know what it means. I know what it means. I understand what's happening, what's going on. I know when money is just transferring from one company to another company. I know when people are giving people to people so they're able to move forward and move up. I know how the company may restructure people so people can it's just a bunch of stuff that can happen. So, and because everybody's in competition to try to make our self-esteem and all the other stuff, we're trying to show that we're all better. We're trying to show people so that we still okay when we can be compromised and emotionally compromised. Because I get it, but you have to know where you choose to stand up and stand in it in this organization as who you're looking to be. Because when I said there's three types of identity: personal identity, social identity, there's also cultural identity. In the culture, it comes from like I said a little while ago, like that was a cultural thing being a New Yorker and how we see things and how we flow. But inside that New Yorker cultural identity, I have my own social identity in my black, but as a cultural identity as a New Yorker, we have shared customs. So even though I was away on this block, the same custom was shared on the next block. Shared custom, shared a block over, even though my social group. So a lot of things that we're seeing right now, there's cultural identities in network marketing and leadership and a bunch of other stuff. It involves shared customs, traditions, language, values, watching particular groups and things like that and how they show up in the society. All these things are important. They shape our worldview. And it shaped our influences and how we connect with other people. And a lot of times, how we connect with other people from other cultural backgrounds. So the bottom line is this: I wanted to have this conversation about identity first. Because as we go into this next space, this next phase, this next level of growth, I want people to reinvent themselves, be the best version of self, be a better version of self. Allow yourself to stand on the mission, to stand on who you say you are, to stand on who you say, whose you say you are. We always say who we are, we always say whose we are. People who are if that's your religion, that's your God. I know who I am. I know whose I am. That's what people say, right, Angela? When they talking about how God got them. So I'm saying whatever it is that you stand on, if you know that He got you, He say He's ordered your steps, give you opportunity, help you walk. You know what I'm saying, in the valley of shadow of death, all this other stuff. If He said, and now you're here, how are you going to show up in this moment? Inside each and every one of us are the cellular memories of generations of survivors and fighters and those who have died and those who would not die so that we could be free. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings, but you're never free in this world till you're financially free. And we got to get the financial freedom out the way, get that out the way so we can do all the greater things we want to do. Yeah, we can have freedom of self, freedom of this right here. But again, a lot of the stuff that we're looking to do, it requires us to get the money out the way. When we're looking to become better for ourselves, because when we're in business, our business is to help people make money, help people have success, help people get that out the way, help people in preparation and be prepared for whatever their goals and their dreams and everything else is. So we got to allow ourselves, guys, to know that our vision it can have limiting factors, but it also can be a driving force. Write that down. Your vision can have limiting factors to it, or it can be a driving force to how you move forward, how you show up. Thanks a lot, Ms. Woods. I appreciate that. It has to be. And right now, as we move forward today, before I wrap up the call, I got to make sure you guys know, as you identify, that's a part of your identity. And again, I talk about identity, then I talk about awareness, but I gave you a, a, a basic synopsis of ways of how you see your identity and have an awareness of it. So I'm covering those two things because once you understand identity, your awareness of that, your awareness of how you show up, how you've been showing up. Your homework tonight must be, if you wrote down those things we're talking about, you got to go deeper in your level of self-evaluation. We're in a space to where nowadays there's so many ways you can get new information. I remember my a lot of stuff that I know that my basics have come from when I was a kid. I grew up in the projects. I grew up on in Webster Avenue in the Bronx. I grew up during a time when the Bronx was on fire. There was a lot of people was burning down the buildings and things like that because they didn't landlords just, it was just, I mean, building across the street was burned down, almost everything. It was just crazy. And as a kid, you don't see all the stuff. You just out. A whole block could be demolished and we walking across rubble and it just, then inside there is people, it's just stuff that you wouldn't even want nobody to see, how not just how you living, but what's going on in this space, in the projects, people in the stairwells, defecating, urinating, all type of stuff, things just happening. People, you see all this other stuff, right? So I grew up in that place where everything was just crazy and how things was broken and all this other stuff. And sometimes when you see these things, it can cause trauma to people, and the ways of how they're thinking about things, it may cause trauma. People think so, but when you're in the moment, when you're inside of that, when you're living in that space, you don't know. You don't know. You don't know. No, you don't. You're. It's just a part of your life. So as I have been, as that has been the foundation of where I have and how I saw things and how I saw my life in existence back then. I've also, my mother and my father, I remember one day somebody was walking by and knocking on doors and they were selling some encyclopedias. And even though I come from all this other stuff, I was still like a nerdy type of kid amongst all the stuff, right? And I'm saying I didn't like no drama, nothing like that. I've learned to fight to protect my brothers and my sisters, but I would let people could bully me, but you bully my family, then we got a problem. But other than that, I didn't like the fight, so they would bully me in different things. So I used to be reading comic books because they would give me another level of hope and seeing things, right? That's why a lot of times when I wear t-shirts, I have t-shirts be having emblems. Corey, because I be thinking I'm a superhero, right? I be having t-shirts that got an emblem on them because in my mindset, the emblem that I have on my t-shirt is like a superhero thing, right? And back then, I remember I used to like to, even I would read different comic books. One of the comics I used to love to read was Green Lantern, right? And that wasn't a common person. It's only because of this. Something about him and all the things he had going. There was Superman a bunch. There's two different comics, DC and Marvel, and different comic groups inside those things. And I would read all the stuff. And my brother was more so in this stuff, so he put me on a bunch of stuff. But as I used to read Green Lantern, because Green Lantern, his whole thing was his they gave him a ring, and the ring was powered by his will. It was powered by his will. And it was powered by his will. And what was important to that for me, because all I had was that Benjamin Disraeli said, nothing can resist the human will that will stake even its existence for the extent of its purpose. And that desire to do something, that will be done. United States, his will, that will be done. Something about that right there which drove me. So when he used to always power up his ring, he would put his ring to the lantern and he said, in black as day and dark as night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lantern's light. And that meant something to me. It was something that I had to find a way amongst the rubble, the tyranny, all of the fires, the death, the destruction, the heroin needles, the heroin addicts, all the people. That was even before the crack. I can close my eyes and I can see the stuff that was going on around me and the smell from all the burnt buildings around, and I can see it with my eye. I can still see the stuff, but still amongst all that, I used to believe that I was truly destined for something great, something greater, something more. And I used to, and even though I love other characters, something about that one, because I know if I have anything, I had my will. I had that part of me. And that part of me would drive me to keep on, no matter what would happen, I would be like, I still keep going. Being an introverted person, not wanting to talk to nobody, not wanting to do no sales, but I'm like, yo, I see my mother. I can see when she's not, I'm like, I will do something. I will get up. I will make it happen. I will step up. I will. And when I said to you, this, this is important. Benjamin Disraeli said that nothing can resist the human will that will stake even its existence for the extent of its purpose. That means you will give up anything and everything in order for you to accomplish your goals. No matter what shows up, you're not going to stop. You're going to overcome. You're going to push through. Your will be done. His will and your will be done. So when people say, well, God's will, well, God gives you I feel that it's his will that you know of a thing. What you do with that thing is of your own free will. So the answer is, will you or won't you? And if you want to go to this next level of success, of growth, personal development, healing, you got to ask yourself, will I? Or will I allow myself, like we were talking about earlier, Rebecca, right? From old traumas, will they guide us? Will they be the guiding factor in our lives? And each year is just a perpetual motion of last year. So we're not even moving forward. We're going from this year to last year, this year to last year, this year to last year. Because last year was so hard that this year we're thinking about everything last year, and so each year is a replicant of the previous year. So now 5, 6, 7, 8 years going by, you the same damn person. 5 years later, 6 years later, 7 years later, could that happen to you 10 years ago? Happened to you 7 years ago? Happened to you 8 years ago? What are we going to do now to grow ourselves, to know ourselves, to expand our vision? Vision is what you envision. And what do you envision for your life? What do you envision for your family? What do you envision for business? What do you envision for success? What about your identity that's been holding you back? What about your identity has been a limiting factor? What about your identity has been a driving force? You can literally go to Chat GPT and ask questions about yourself or any AI system and ask about your system. I'm this. I had this going on in my life. This was going on right here. I'm this person right here. I'm this old. I'm this right here. Had these challenges right here. This is going on. I'm saying, give me some keys and steps that I can do. Help me identify the things that's and whether you're going to therapy for somebody else or you can't go yet, but you need to get some ideas of things and how you can go. And then when they give you some things, research deeper what that means. A lot of times people will hear something and we think that we know the meaning just off of what we learned when we was in elementary or junior high. But sometimes there's a deeper meanings for a word and we forget. We just know the word, but when somebody what it means, you be like, it means, but when you actually look at the definition, it ain't exactly that. It'll be a sort of some amalgamation of it, but it's not really that. You got me? So when you at this age right now, when I'm saying these things, I want you to go, hmm, let me see how I can identify these things on me about my path. Exactly right, Coach. Hmm. Let me see how I can identify these things so I can have another level of breakthrough. So I can have another level of awareness. All it is, I told you, is identity and awareness. When I talk about my first phase, when I'm working with people, I talk about discovery, and discovery is of identity and awareness. And I want you to do homework for yourself to go to a deeper level of awareness for yourself. Because this is the thing about it. When you start when you start looking at your life as a teacher, as opposed to the challenges, as opposed to the hardships, you'll start shifting some of those lessons and they'll become more empowering instead of self-limiting. But you have to allow yourself to look at your life as a teacher, not the hardships of it, not the challenges, as a teacher. So when you're Googling this stuff and you watching chat, look at it as you being taught some things about yourself. Not chat selling stuff. Now you want to argue. Well, I'm telling you, let me tell you, he's gonna just say stuff. It's gonna just give you stuff based off of what that is. But don't get mad at it. Just be like, let me see how I can pay attention to this, how fast I lose it, how fast I get upset, how fast I shut somebody down. I was talking to Rebecca earlier, and I'm like, listen, I said when I was a kid, I never learned my times tables, right? It don't mean I don't know how to add. I mean, it's just that I tried trickery when I was in school to try not to learn it. So because I tricked myself out of not learning my damn times tables. So you start talking numbers, I'm like this, right. But my brain didn't shut off. I'm literally like, right, yeah, word. I'm around my friend, but yeah, son, we gonna get this money. They start talking. I'm like, yeah, word, yeah. I had to get the calculator out because you saying stuff. I'm like, hold on a second, let me take my shoes off. Let me count I gotta use fingers and toes. It's all good. I gotta keep it real. I ain't the only one. Don't get bougie on this call like nobody know what I'm talking about. Everybody on this call ain't fast with numbers. You got me? It's just what it is. But it don't stop the fact that I can pop these numbers off and tell you stuff with the calculator. But the fact is, in my mindset, because I never learned it, I know when you say certain things, my mind shut off. Until I be real people say, hold on a second, I never learned my timetables. Give me a second. And that's the realness of me. That's me being authentic in the place. That's me saying for you, slow down so I can speed up. And people will go, okay, put that in. And you have to be okay with what was limiting so you can move forward. I'm telling you my story because that's my truth. Some people may have that truth with reading. Some people may have that with something else in their life. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. As long as you understand it, you can come up with strategies and ways to get around something. So I need you guys to get good tonight at finding out some of those things we're talking about, the things we talked about today. See what that means for you on a deeper level. And then sit back and take some notes on it. Get your own journal and take some notes. I got books I got so many, I got notebooks all around. I'm always constantly keeping notebooks all around, different things that I'm writing and stuff. I got notebook just all around me all the time, constant notebooks around. I'm just constantly always reading, writing in notebooks over here, notebooks. I'm constantly journaling, taking stuff. Sometimes I'll do stuff in one book for a little bit, then I'll go to another book. I have an ADHD brain, so I can be all over. I can have 50 books and never none of them complete. I got 5 pages out of this one, 7 pages. It's just what it is. It's keeping it real, all right? Because somebody else on this phone needs some help right now. Understand? You ain't the only one. I get it. But the thing is, this guys, when I understand who I am and understand whose I am, and I know what my ultimate goals and dreams and desires is to help other people. Exactly, coach. I said I gotta help myself so I can help other people. I gotta learn to become better so I can become better in here, so I can be great out there. I want you guys to get better in here so you can be great out there. And part of that greatness is the next phase of leadership is learning how to communicate with self. So you can now you're working with people in your group and your team, you can identify when they're talking, you can go, I can see, I can see myself in them, or I can see this way because I've researched it, I've studied enough. Just do a thing, you do it like I say, you do a thing long enough, a ratio would appear. That's why if every one of you have done a call with me with somebody else, you recognize that call that I do is different. It's not just the conversation, it's how I may ask questions, how I may go through a certain because my experiences and what a person has done in their life, I'm able to listen, but it's based off of me not just going, yeah, I understand. I don't get that because me. No, I want to understand myself and where I fit in so I can understand to help you where you fit in. And again, taking my level of vision and version leadership, attaching it to your vision and version, and pulling your vision and version closer to mine so we can accomplish the goal and the dreams and the desires that we said that we have. So, guys, I wanted to kind of just cover that today with vision because it can be lightly covered or it can be in depth. And I want to give you guys something deeper because we're at a phase right now where the world needs us at another level. And we have to be at another level in what's happening. So much stuff is coming on, it's coming so fast from all areas and all this other stuff that we got to become bigger and better. Oh, and the other thing with ADHD, I can tell a story inside of a story inside of a story and forget. And sometimes I come out the rabbit hole and be like, "Where I'm at," and go back down, come in. Then eventually I come back out. So let me come back as I end the call with this. I was telling a story earlier about the comics because I was getting to the point to where my mom's and my dad had bought some encyclopedias. And when they bought the childcraft encyclopedias, I used to read the encyclopedias. I just how nothing else to do. So I would just read. So I've learned so many things about so much stuff. Because I had the same set of encyclopedias, and I would just read each one, always reading stuff. I got so and I just got turned on to so much different way coming from the hood and from the projects. I had a way of how I just thought about so many different things. It opened up my mind to so many that to this day I study a lot of stuff that I don't talk about. I study a lot of stuff about the brain, the mechanics of it. I study stuff in quantum mechanics, quantum physics. I study so much, so many from basic things, understanding how the brain works, how the skin works, to something on the biggest levels. But it's because back then it was a cross reference of so many things. But the encyclopedia was a glimpse of a moment in time. Because once that book was that was published, that book, you got nothing else that happened. But now we're at an age and time where things are coming so fast that we have to adapt just as fast. Am I making sense? So I was limited back then with the childcraft encyclopedias, but it still opened me up. You're unlimited with the information you get from Chat GPT using other ways that you can grow yourself. Be willing to do that. Be willing to exercise your ability to become a better version of yourself. So when you start organizations and groups, say we're going to build a team of people together. But as I have coached on many times before, I've been teaching you guys how to start your own groups. Not in this, but in other things you do. What you're good at. If you're a teacher, you may have a group of people who are in that space that educators, and you got a group of them over there. You always dropping knowledge, and it's about building. And you may end up becoming a speaker in that group. May end up selling books in that group. May end up being a coach of other people in that group. You may transition people from that to something else. But I want you to not be limited and just be stuck into just thinking your business is just products. Your business is people. Your business is self. Become a better version of self. You know what I'm saying? So you become a better version of an entrepreneur and a better person out there in the world. I love each and every one of you guys. I promise to do because my mother always taught me to. I appreciate you guys logging on to our Sunday night vision mastery call. As I wrap up the call, before I'm done, do I have any person, any leader who have any last minute comments, statements, anything they want to share about what we talked about on tonight's call? If you can,
Yes, good
open the mic.
night.
Yes, Coach
Good night.
Catherine.
Hi, Coach. Thank you so much for this is really, really good, by the way. I really appreciate this level. I appreciate all levels, but this one was deeper. Yeah, so I just want to share. Yes, I'm a coach and I coach one-to-one. I'm very comfortable one-to-one. I'm comfortable being on stage as a dancer because I used to dance, performing, no problem. But I'm a very structured person. I can be flexible, but I'm also very structured. And I'm the type of person that if I don't know what's happening, it's pressure on me. I'm stressed.
Hmm.
So over the weekend, I did a program and I was a mentor and I did like a workshop. So fine. I studied, I knew what to do. And then they asked me to host it. And I was like, host? What I got to do? Just host, you're a coach. La, 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 la. And I was like, okay, but I was stressed. What do I have to do? Tell me the steps of what I got to do. And first of all, they told me some steps. When I got there, uh-uh. The steps were not stepping. There was no steps, there was no order. Everything I was told to do got switched. Okay, and by the way, when you go up there, you're on in 2 minutes. This is what I want you to say. And I know I said do this, but I was like, stressed, right? So I was so uncomfortable. But then when I went up, after I finished, everybody was like, oh my gosh, you're such a natural. But it was me putting pressure on myself. It was me. And I always wanted to be a speaker in general, hosting and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But in my mind, I'm like, how am I going to do this? Because I like things I need to know, right?
Right.
So I say this to say that I mean I did it, and after I finished, actually during it, I started to feel comfortable, and I was relaxed, and I was truly myself. And after I was like, oh, that was it. That was good. Okay, when's the next one? So
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, no
continue to
doubt.
stretch yourself.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, what you said just now, I always tell people that confidence comes from accomplishments. And once you accomplished it, it had another level of confidence for you. Got me? But I've been teaching you, and and a lot of times you and I have had some personal conversations. Every coach needs a coach, and as a
Mhm.
coach, I talk to you as a coach a lot of times, right? And I'll ask you questions because that's coaching is about asking questions. And the last conversation we had, you was the same way. You was in a stressful space. I asked a bunch of questions. By the time I was done, you was like, "Yeah, I'm ready." I'm like, because it's the questions, because we have the answers already on the inside. Got me? And the thing is this, you have to know what you got to know, but I need you to know the answer is already on the inside you. That's why you was able to pull it off. You already know the answers. You already know what's going on. So no matter what's happening, no matter how stressful it seems, once you woosah and once you in the moment, because that's the thing about what we do as entrepreneurs, we got to be willing to adapt. If you have a small business and something happened in that business, you got to adapt. You can't be like, I'm closing the doors. No, you got to adapt. So speaking on the stage is you in work, you working. So as you have to adapt for a moment, because it happened. It happened to me many times. Things happen. I'm like, I'll go because it's inside me. But I had to learn to just slow down, to speed up, and just trust that as what I think I need to know, I already know. It's already inside me. And that was a perfect example for that right there. So I thank you for sharing that with people today because I want them to know the same thing. Everybody think they got to get ready, dress right, dress. I got to study this before I can move. I got to do this before No, no, you don't. No, just take the next step and the stair will be there. Take the next step and the way will be made. The way is always made. You just got to take the next step. All right. And I appreciate you for sharing that, young lady. Thank you so much. Anybody's got any last thing you want to share before we're done? Excellent. Hey guys, listen, I appreciate you guys. I see you guys thinking. I see some of you guys thinking about it. Don't worry about it. All right. Appreciate you guys for logging in, being a part of the vision mastery. Do the homework. Take the lessons, that's just the lessons bullets, go deeper with what they mean for you. And then as you discover some things, be willing to share them inside of our chat. Share some things that you find about self, because what you're finding about self, you'll find it may be inspiring to somebody else. Leave a quick video, a quick something inside the chat. Let's just don't have to be 5 or 6 minutes, just something that you discovered about what we talked about, because I'm teaching you all how to be more engaging, how to be willing to share, how to be willing to lead from the front, lead inside the group, leader of one, leader of many. If I can't lead one, I can't lead any. You guys have an amazing new you. Love you guys. Have a great night. Good night, everybody. See you guys soon. Bye now.